What we owe. I dropped out of school when I was 16 to help harvest corn in the fields. That summer, a rich boy from the city pulled up in a luxury car, cigarette between his lips, yelling at his girlfriend. She sneered. Please, the only reason I dated you was to get close to your brother. You think anyone would actually fall for a spoiled trust fund brat like you? Go ask around. He was furious, almost stomping his feet, then suddenly turned to me and snapped, Hey, I'll pay for your school, buy you clothes, give you money you'll never run out of. In exchange, you love me. Deal? I didn't hesitate. Okay. Later, he told me, chase after my brother. Only if he falls in love will Charlotte finally give up. I didn't agree right away. 7 years had passed. I was no longer that naive, sunburnt farm girl. Brandon Whitmore had raised me well. He paid for my education, hired tutors, enrolled me in every class I wanted, from painting to piano. Last year, I graduated. He bought me a car and a house. During the summer, I learned to drive. He patiently practiced with me every day, never once complaining. Now, no one calls me a country bumpkin anymore. They say I'm the girl cherished by the second son of the Whitmore family, his unofficial fiancé. 7 years. That's how long he spent nurturing me, like raising a flower. And now that the flower is in full bloom, radiant and perfect, how could he bear to hand it to someone else? But no one expected Charlotte Harrington to return. After breaking up with Brandon, she disappeared overseas and cut ties with everyone. Last month, she came back. The first thing she did? Confessed to Nathaniel Whitmore, Brandon's older brother. He rejected her. No one ever knew Charlotte liked Nathaniel. But after being turned down, she broke down and called Brandon. Brandon, I'm back. Those words sent him spiraling. She cried to him over Nathaniel again and again. And Brandon, he comforted her every time. He felt sorry for her. Angry, too. Why? Why couldn't she see him? He would have given her his heart if she asked. But her eyes were always on his cold, distant brother. I never expected he'd come up with such a reckless idea. To me, Nathaniel seemed like the kind of man who wouldn't love anyone. But Brandon came to me every day, begging. He brought flowers, designer bags. Money rained on me like water. My coworkers whispered, Is he into you? He treats you so well. He's obviously loaded. Just say yes already. I only smiled, silent. Yes, he treats me well, too well. A debt I could never repay. That's when my phone rang. Brandon. His voice was casual, teasing. Did you get the flowers? Yeah. Do you like them? I hesitated. He sighed. Forget it. I was just thinking, if you really don't want to, I won't. I'll do it. He froze. What? The thing you asked me to do. I'll do it. He was quiet for a moment, then suddenly laughed. All right, go for it. If it doesn't work out, I'll still take care of you, always. Then he added, almost explaining himself, You know, they've introduced my brother to at least 80 women over the years. He never liked any of them. You're the only one he doesn't immediately shut out. That's the only reason I asked you. I looked up at the moon, took a long breath. Okay. A lighter clicked on the other end. He was smoking again. Then he called my name, voice low and rough. By the way, I never asked. Rose, do you like someone? I paused. Does it matter? Yeah. If you're in love with someone else, I won't make you do this. I won't ruin your future like that. I glanced at the bouquet on my desk, vibrant red roses. I'd heard he used to send the same ones to Charlotte, imported, each one worth half a month's salary for most people. I pressed my lips together. No, but I lied. I liked Brandon from the first moment I saw him. And yet, after all these years, he only ever had eyes for Charlotte. 2 days later, Brandon threw a party, a welcome back event for Charlotte. I got an invite too. Word was, Charlotte insisted on meeting me. She said, You actually brought that girl from the cornfield back with you, Brandon? She was so dark, so skinny, so plain. I thought you were joking. Now I'm really curious to see what she's like. I had other things to do and declined the invite. Brandon kept texting. The last message read, My brother will be there. You haven't forgotten what you promised me, right? I stared at the screen. My chest tightened. A strange pressure building inside me. How could I not go now? Saying no would be ungrateful. When I arrived, they were playing cards. Some of them looked up and saw me, but their expressions subtly shifted. No one greeted me like they used to. Back then, they humored me for Brandon's sake, always calling me Miss Walker, always polite. Now, it was clear to everyone, Brandon wasn't going to marry me. I walked over and glanced at the table. Charlotte was the only one winning. Brandon was skilled at this stuff. It was obvious he was deliberately letting her win. Eventually, Charlotte noticed me. She looked genuinely surprised. "Oh, wow," she gasped, covering her mouth. "You've changed so much. I remember you used to..." She trailed off, clicked her tongue, then waved dismissively and stood up. "Here, you play. I'm tired." She picked up her phone and started tapping on the screen. I was close enough to see the name, Nathaniel, but all the messages were one-sided. He hadn't replied to a single one. I sat down. Brandon's expression darkened. He shuffled his cards, a little more agitated now. The stakes were high. No one went easy on me. Within minutes, I'd lost over 10 grand. Charlotte stood by with exaggerated concern. "What's wrong with you guys? Letting her lose that much? Where would she even get that kind of money? Can she afford it?" Someone tossed their cards aside. It was Ethan Montgomery, Brandon's best friend. He looked up, completely unfazed. "What's the problem?" "Brandon always covers her losses. He wasn't wrong. That's how it had always been." Charlotte raised an eyebrow. "Oh, really?" Brandon nodded, already pulling out his phone to transfer the money. But I spoke first. "No need, I've got it." Brandon looked at me, eyes turning stormy. "Don't be ridiculous." I smiled faintly. "It's fine. I can't rely on you forever." What he didn't know was over the years, I'd quietly learned how to make money. I'd been saving, even opened a separate bank account. I sent in regular deposits, all to pay him back someday. He never knew. As I spoke, I paid everyone what I owed. Brandon had won the most. He stared at his screen for a long time before scoffing. "Well, look at you grown up, Miss Rose." Later, I went to the restroom. When I came out, I accidentally overheard Brandon and Charlotte arguing in the hallway. "You said your brother Nathaniel would be here. Why isn't he? He got held up. Why? Still can't let him go? You think I care if he ignores me? I want him. That's all that matters." "What about you?" she snapped. "Why keep Rose around all these years? What's she to you?" Brandon stared at her. "Are you jealous?" "No. I just hate seeing freeloaders who leech off others like parasites." "How much has she cost you over the years?" Brandon scratched his nose, casually. "Was just trying to piss you off. If you'd take me back, I'd cut her off in a second." The hallway was dim. I stood in the shadows, frozen. My chest went cold. I didn't listen any further, just turned and walked away. I needed air. When I returned, the private room was empty. I stepped outside and it was pouring rain. Ethan was still there. He'd gone out to puke and hadn't left yet. He saw me and looked surprised. "You're still here?" "Brandon just left with Charlotte," he added. "It's raining like hell. This place is in the middle of nowhere too. I'd give you a ride, but we're not headed the same way," he sighed. "Want me to call Brandon to come back and get you?" I shook my head. "Don't bother." He didn't push, just helped his date into the car and drove off. I regretted not driving myself. I pulled out my phone to book an Uber. No luck, no drivers around. There was a bus stop a few blocks away. I made up my mind, clutched my coat tighter and walked into the storm. But I'd barely taken a few steps when an umbrella suddenly appeared above me. A deep voice followed, cool and distant, just like the rumors. "Rose." It was Nathaniel Whitmore who took me home that night. On the drive, his phone rang. "Brandon." I was close enough to hear the entire call. "Bro, we're all done here. Don't bother coming now." Nathaniel raised an eyebrow, but didn't mention he had already shown up at the club. "You said it was urgent, then ditched. So what was it?" A pause. Then Brandon sighed. "It was Charlotte. She wanted to see you. You know how she is. I couldn't say no." Nathaniel's expression didn't change. His lips curled faintly. "So you'll give her anything she asks for, even your own brother?" Brandon still sounded annoyingly relaxed. "Sure. You know I've loved her since we were kids. For her, I'd do anything. Drop anyone. And besides, you never date. What am I supposed to do?" Then he suddenly cursed. Shit. I forgot about Rose. I left her there. I gotta go, bro. Nathaniel glanced sideways at me. Well, he muttered. At least he remembered eventually. Nathaniel hung up without saying a word. I quietly looked away, gazing out the rain-blurred window. My phone sat untouched in my bag. The old me would have immediately pulled it out, checking for missed calls or messages from Brandon. But tonight? Maybe I was just too tired. I did nothing. The phone didn't ring. Only then did I remember I'd put it on silent for a meeting that afternoon. I never turned the sound back on. The car ride was silent. When we finally reached the gate to my building, I exhaled in relief. Rain was still falling outside. Nathaniel picked up the umbrella beside him and handed it to me. Thank you, I said, reaching out to take it, but he didn't let go. I looked up at him, confused. Mr. Whitmore? He held my gaze for a long, quiet moment, then finally released the handle. If you're upset, he said calmly, you can cry. It's okay. A pause. If you need help, you can come to me. I won't tell anyone. My heart skipped a beat. Only then did I realize my hands had been trembling ever since I overheard Brandon's call. Of course, that line, I can throw anything away for her, he was talking about me. I clenched my fists, then looked into Nathaniel's eyes, and gave a small, bitter smile. In 7 years, I'd only seen him a handful of times, and yet, every encounter was this humiliating. In that moment, I felt something snap. Recklessly, I blurted, Nathaniel, what if I said I wanted to date you? He frowned. His eyes were cold. That's not going to happen. When I got home, I busied myself for a while. Then, finally, I took out my phone. In just that short time, Brandon had called me dozens of times. Text after text lit up the screen. Left in a rush, forgot you were still there. I sent someone to pick you up. Why aren't you answering? You're not hurt, right? Please reply. Are you mad? Forget it. I'll come myself. The last one was sent just 3 minutes ago. I hesitated, fingers hovering over the screen. I was about to call him back and tell him not to worry. Then I saw the typing indicator pop up. A new message appeared. Charlotte's not feeling well. I need to stay with her. Maybe I'll send the driver to get you instead. I stared at that message for a long time. Then I typed, no need. I'm already home. Brandon replied instantly with a 17-second voice note. You finally replied. Scared me half to death. Thought something happened. As long as you're okay, I'm a bit busy now. Talk later. I sighed. Okay. In the quiet, I found myself thinking back to all the stories I'd heard about Brandon and Charlotte over the years. How much he'd done for her, how hard he'd chased her. Fights, jealousy, wild stunts. When they were 18, her family ran into trouble. Brandon went on a hunger strike at home for half a month, begging his father to help. His father finally gave in, paid a steep price to bail out the Harringtons. Shortly after that, they got together. Everyone said Brandon was madly in love with Charlotte. When I first came into Brandon's life, some people thought he'd lost his mind. That he only got close to me to spite Charlotte. The Joe family didn't mind. After all, they were just funding a poor girl's education. A few tuition checks, barely the cost of a single party to them. After that night, Brandon stopped contacting me, but I knew where he was. With Charlotte, he took her everywhere. Skiing one day, watching sunsets the next. Even his inner circle tagged along. Ethan posted group photos on social media. In every picture, Brandon's eyes were always on her. On Charlotte. Someone left a comment under Brandon's social post. Tisk. The second Whitmore boy still looks best with Charlotte. Right? Someone must have really thought she could turn into a swan. Tough luck. I'd heard things like that plenty when I first came to the Whitmore house. But after Brandon snapped at people a few times, they learned to shut up. This time, though, it was clear Brandon had no intention of defending me. Because he replied, "You're not wrong. Charlotte and I were always meant to be." Strangely, reading that didn't hurt the way I thought it would. In fact, I found myself thinking, fine, let them be soulmates. I gave the post a like, then left a comment. Next time, feel free to name me directly, no need for riddles. But it's funny, I actually agree. You two really are a perfect match. Less than 2 minutes later, the post disappeared. Brandon messaged me right after. It's not that serious. You've heard worse before, don't let them get to you. Be good, I'll take you shopping in a couple days. Tisk. Right. As if I hadn't been insulted before. I was born poor. People talk, no big deal. I tossed the phone aside and went to shower. When I came out, there were even more messages waiting. Not answering me? Fine. But don't forget what you promised me. I stared at the screen for a while, then replied, okay. Word of our falling out spread fast. It happened to be the same night as one of their gatherings. Brandon had stared at my message for a long time. Then, unable to hold it in, he slammed his phone onto the table. Fuck, I didn't even say anything bad about her, and she's acting like I owe her. Funny thing was, I happened to be out with friends that night too. I stepped out to take a call and overheard Ethan in the hallway talking to someone. What a fucking ingrate that Rose is. Brandon's been nothing but good to her, and so what if someone said a few things? She should be grateful. Honestly, she should be thanking Charlotte. If it weren't for her, Brandon wouldn't have picked her up off the street. I froze in place. Ethan clicked his tongue. All right, but don't say it like that. The Whitmores sponsor dozens of students every year. You don't see them raising any of the others. She's different. Brandon kept her close, treated her like something precious. None of the others got that. And she's done a lot for him too. Every time Brandon needed her, she showed up. No questions. Remember when he almost got in that accident 2 years ago? She threw herself in the way, took the hit, spent 3 months in a hospital bed. A pause. Yeah, true. But now that Charlotte's back, her presence is just a thorn in the side. I stood quietly in the shadows until they went back inside. Honestly, I'd nearly forgotten about the accident myself. It had been 5 years ago. Charlotte had just called Brandon for the first time in forever. She said she had a dream about Nathaniel and asked Brandon if he could sneak a picture of him and send it to her. He was so stunned he didn't even notice the car coming. I pushed him aside, took the hit myself. It wasn't life-threatening, but I still had to get surgery, 3 months in the hospital. And yet, after everything, here I was, still the outsider, still the thorn in their perfect little world. In everyone's eyes, what I did was expected. When Brandon's mother came to visit me in the hospital after the accident, she said gently, "It means a lot that you care for Brandon this much. He's always been unruly. We never expected him to achieve much. If he continues to treat you this well, I won't oppose you becoming my daughter-in-law." That single comment is how the label of child bride began to stick. And Brandon, he never once denied it. Everyone assumed he agreed. Even I believed that. But now, thinking like that would just mean I was being willfully ignorant. I had no time to dwell on gossip. I had a task to complete to pursue Nathaniel. I knew it wouldn't succeed. The point wasn't the result. It was about showing effort. So even if it failed, no one could say I didn't try. I had no experience with this kind of thing, so I asked my college friend, Chen Su. She was an expert in love. Her words, "This kind of thing? Leave it to me." I asked, "How do you win a man over?" She laughed. "With Brandon fawning over you like that, you still need tips?" Back in college, Brandon would visit me often. Handsome, rich, he was the kind of guy people couldn't ignore. Word got around fast. Everyone knew how good he was to me, so good it almost felt excessive. "I just want to learn," I said. That night, Chen Su gave me a crash course in romance. And so began my mission, chasing Nathaniel. Every day after work, I waited outside the Whitmore Group building. I brought flowers. I wrote letters so cheesy I couldn't bear to reread them. Nathaniel was always cold, but never cruel. We'd crossed paths before. Once, Brandon took me on a trip. I caught a fever in the rain, but when news came that something had happened to Charlotte, Brandon left the country overnight. It was Nathaniel who stayed and cared for me. Another time, a client humiliated me by dumping coffee on me. Nathaniel stepped in, calm and sharp, and resolved everything. Always in my worst moments, he was there. I took photos of my pursuit and sent them to Brandon. He blocked me. I didn't care. I figured I'd keep it up another 10 days, then report back. I would have done my part. One evening, while out shopping with Chen Su, we ran into Brandon and Charlotte. They had bags upon bags of high-end goods. Brandon, the usual arrogant trust fund kid, looked utterly domesticated beside her, both arms loaded with her purchases. When they saw me, Brandon paused. Charlotte smiled sweetly. "Oh, it's you. Here to shop? Want my recommendation? Things here are expensive, you know. Did you bring enough money? Or were you hoping Brandon would swipe his card for you again? Here." She held out Brandon's card. Chen Su, with her fiery temper, instantly caught the tone. She sneered. "Wow, so you're rich. So what? That gives you the right to humiliate someone? And Brandon, seriously? She asked me how to win you over, and you just stand there?" She didn't know Charlotte was Brandon's white moonlight. I gently pulled Chen Su back. "It's okay. I'll handle it." I looked up. Brandon was staring at me, emotions flickering in his eyes, surprise, maybe regret. He said, "Honestly, I'm not mad anymore. If you wanted to make up, you could have just said so. No need for all this." Charlotte didn't mean anything by it. "Brandon," I interrupted, "I'll repay everything you spent on me. I truly appreciate everything you did. But once I finish what you asked of me, I'll leave." He froze. The bags in his hands slipped to the ground. That's not what I meant." I didn't answer. I just left, dragging Chen Su with me. Outside, she fumed. "Don't you dare fall for him again. He's clearly not over Charlotte. I used to think he was a decent guy." I smiled. "I don't like him anymore." She relaxed slightly. "Fine, after you're done with this nonsense, I'm treating you to dinner." That night, Brandon pulled me out of his block list. He sent message after message. "I never expected you to pay me back. I helped you because I wanted to, not for repayment. Charlotte just has a sharp tongue. Don't take her seriously. I only blocked you because I was angry. Can we go back to how we were?" I ignored them all. Instead, I sent him a folder. Photos of the cookies I made for Nathaniel, the envelopes for the love letters, even screenshots of our short, polite text exchanges. Nathaniel always replied. Short messages, but consistent. Brandon went silent for a long time. Then, a voice message came in. Cold, bitter, gritted. "Thanks. Really, you've gone all out for me," I replied calmly. Just doing what I was told. That night, I searched for restaurants and messaged Chen Su to meet up. She suggested we call some friends and have a proper night out. Dinner turned into karaoke. Midway through, I stepped out for air and heard my name. "Let's get back together." "That girl Rose. Get rid of her. She's taken 7 years of your life. I can't stand her anymore." "Didn't she say she'd leave you after this?" "Let her." Charlotte's voice. I turned and saw her nestled in Brandon's arms. He looked lost. "You," he started, but she kissed him before he could finish. I looked away and ran. That was it. No more chasing Nathaniel. What a stupid plan it had been. But then I saw him. Nathaniel. He'd seen it all. He walked over, handed me a tissue. I didn't even pretend. I wiped my eyes. "Thank you, Mr. Whitmore. You were right not to get involved with someone like me. I really don't deserve you. Let's just forget everything that happened." Nathaniel stared at me, then said slowly, "That's not it. I never thought you were beneath me. I rejected you because it didn't come from your heart. It was Brandon who asked you, wasn't it? He did a lot for you, I get it. But you don't owe him everything. There are better ways to repay kindness, Rose. You chose the worst one." After that, I threw myself into work. Whenever I had questions, Nathaniel always replied promptly. He was a patient teacher. Thanks to him, I grew fast. Brandon and Charlotte got back together. He sent someone to tell me that what he asked me to do, forget it. 2 weeks later, I heard they broke up. Apparently, Brandon ended it. I didn't believe it. Not after everything he'd done for her. Then Brandon messaged me. "Are you free? Let's talk." "Your favorite restaurant?" I replied. "Busy." After work, Nathaniel happened to be nearby and took me to dinner. Things had changed between us ever since that night. As I waited outside for him to finish a call, Charlotte appeared. She slapped me. Hard. "You again? When did you get so close to Nathaniel? Why is it always you? Everyone falls for you. Why?" She was trembling, eyes red. "Brandon used to do anything for me, but now he keeps thinking about you, wondering what you're doing." "Why?" "He doesn't like me," I said. "This is between you and him." Charlotte laughed coldly. "Then why does he still care? Just then, Nathaniel came downstairs. He saw my face, then turned to Charlotte. "She hit you?" he asked. I nodded. "Call Brandon. Tell him to come get her." Nathaniel raised a brow but made the call. "Charlotte hit Rose. Come get her." Brandon arrived not long after. He looked between us, hesitating. "You?" Nathaniel cut in. "You deal with your mess. Don't drag others into it." Brandon scowled. "Don't act so high and mighty. Why's Rose even with you? You don't like women." I sighed. "Just take her home." Back home, Brandon texted. "Why were you with my brother?" "You two," I replied. "We're not anything." He started typing. Then he called. "I've been thinking," he said, "about Charlotte. Maybe it wasn't love, just obsession." I cut him off. "Check your messages. I transferred money to your account." He fell silent. "I kept track of every cent you spent on me. I'll pay it all back. From now on, we're just benefactor and beneficiary. Your feelings, your life, they have nothing to do with me." "That's not what I want," Brandon murmured. "I messed up. I used the wrong method. But what if I said, 'I like you. I want to be with you'?" I paused. "Delayed love is still love?" I asked. Then I hung up. He kept sending gifts, just like before, but this time, I felt nothing. I sold the house, traded the car. Combined with my savings, I drafted a repayment plan and sent it to Brandon through my lawyer. He called. "Do you really have to do this?" "Yes." He laughed bitterly. "Because of my brother? You want to be with him? You're almost my sister-in-law now." "Who cares about money?" I sighed. "Do you remember the first thing you ever said to me? Didn't I ask for your name?" I smiled sadly. "No. You said you'd fund my education, give me everything I needed. In return, I had to love you." He was quiet. "I did what you asked, but now I'll repay everything. I don't need your money. And maybe, just maybe, I can finally stop loving you. From now on, what I do, who I'm with, is none of your business." We met a few times after that. He looked at me differently. Older, quieter. He never dated again. Brandon's mother found me in private. "I always liked you," she said. "I truly meant it when I said you could marry into our family. What happened now? It's just fate. Charlotte, she was always too greedy. I never liked her. It's good they broke up." She told me Charlotte had been a mess for weeks, chasing Brandon again, but every meeting ended in disaster. As for me and Nathaniel, well, that's another story. Nathaniel didn't speak much about what happened with Charlotte, and I didn't ask. Some things didn't need words. Instead, we settled into a strange, delicate rhythm, something that wasn't quite friendship, but not love either. Not yet. I didn't know when it started, but I began to look forward to his texts, the quiet, dependable way he always showed up, the way he never asked more than I was willing to give, and most of all, the way he never made me feel like I owed him anything. One weekend, Chen Su invited me to a dinner party. She insisted I bring someone. "Not Brandon," she warned. I laughed and told her, "Don't worry." Nathaniel agreed to go. He showed up in a black button-down and casual slacks, no suit, no tie, and still somehow the most polished man in the room. The others stared. Of course they did. He was that Whitmore. But he didn't even blink. He stayed by my side the entire night, calmly fending off every invasive question, every snide comment disguised as small talk. When someone made a not-so-subtle jab at my past, something about cornfields and social climbing, he simply raised an eyebrow and said, "I wasn't aware hard work was something to mock." The room fell silent. That night, when he dropped me off, I stood by the curb, hesitant. "Nathaniel, do you ever think about the past?" He turned the engine off. "I think about mistakes, and how to avoid making them again." "Was I one of them?" I asked, the words barely above a whisper. He looked at me for a long moment. "No," he said. "You were the reason I learned what I wanted." I didn't sleep much that night. A few days later, Brandon sent one final message. "Take care of yourself, Rose. You don't owe anyone anymore, not even me." I stared at it for a long time before deleting the thread. Not out of anger, just closure. Nathaniel and I never made any grand declarations. There were no dramatic confessions, no sweeping gestures. But one morning, He was waiting for me outside the office with coffee. Late night? He asked. Worked on a proposal until 2 a.m., I said, yawning. He handed me the cup. Next time, send it to me. I'll review it. Brandon's mother found me one afternoon. Her voice was soft, not accusing, just tired. I never liked Charlotte, too greedy, always chasing everything at once. I did like you. I meant it when I said I wouldn't mind you becoming part of our family. What happened between you and Brandon? Maybe it was fate. She told me Charlotte had taken the breakup hard. She'd tried to find Brandon again and again, but every meeting ended in arguments. Meanwhile, Nathaniel and I stayed in occasional contact. He was always respectful, measured, never overstepping. We kept things light, friendly, safe. Then, one day, he took me to a gallery I'd always wanted to visit. On the way out, it started to rain. We stood beneath the awning in silence. Then, he spoke. I remember the first time I saw you, he said. You were so timid, hiding behind Brandon, clutching his sleeve like it was your last lifeline. I smiled. Yeah. Back then, he was my savior. His brow furrowed slightly. Rose, if you're willing, I interrupted him. I applied for an overseas assignment. I leave the day after tomorrow. His face darkened. The day after tomorrow? I nodded. There's a major project in Paris. They need someone long-term. I applied. Got it. He was quiet for a long time. Then, finally, you're running away from me. I gave a soft laugh. No, I just want to try something new. Something that's mine. I want to see how far I can go, if I only rely on myself. On the day of my departure, Nathaniel was out of town, but right before my flight, I got a message. Safe travels. I'll be here when you get back, I replied. Thank you. I rolled my suitcase downstairs and froze. Brandon was waiting by the gate. We hadn't seen each other in a long time. He walked up, took the handle from me. Come on, I'll take you to the airport. How did you? He gave a crooked smile. Want to know how I knew? Or why I came? Both. He looked different. Less like the wild boy I used to know, more like his brother. Rose, I've always kept tabs on you. Most people around you, I added them for a reason. When you first joined the company, I even had dinner with your boss, just to make sure you'd be okay. I couldn't argue. He wasn't wrong. And after 7 years of knowing everything about each other, can't I at least take you to the airport? I nodded. All right. He reached out to pat my head like he used to, but I stepped back, dodged it. His hand hung in the air for a moment, then fell. He sighed. Let's go, he said softly, and this time, don't look back. I didn't.